I'm a bit confused about this efforts of Taiwan to amend the UN resolution. It's obviously a UN General Assembly resolution. Well, for a start, it's impossible to amend that resolution in the UN Security Council because China has a veto. So that's the Security Council is out. Now, even in the General Assembly, any efforts to change a resolution against the wishes of the government of China will fail. Because for a simple reason, that if you give the countries of the world a choice, do you want to vote in favor of a resolution that pleases Taiwan and angers China? What do you get? What do you get out of it? And at the end of the day, China's standing in the global south has never been higher. You see that in the way that the African leaders went to Beijing for this conference. Even in Latin America, China's influence today is incredibly high. So I'm a bit puzzled by the political naivete of the people who are trying to push to amend a resolution in the United Nations. But nonetheless, maybe it's worth for them to try. Because when they try, they will fail so spectacularly.
Maybe they do not try to amend, but try to interpret it in a different way.
No, I mean, there's no point interpreting for yourself. You have to get the countries of the world to explain and understand the meaning of that resolution. But if any goal is to sort of ask countries to choose, do you favor an independent Taiwan? The vast majority of countries in the world will not support an independent Taiwan because they have already signed to a one China policy, and they'd be happy to work with the Taiwan that exists today. They're happy to work with the status quo. But if you try to change the status quo, any change will leave Taiwan worse off and not better off, because countries in the world are not going to support this. And this is a fundamental major reality. And I also emphasize that you also are living in a world where the influence of the West overall is coming down. I mean, very sadly. I mean, I say this out of sadness because I've seen how Europe has diminished dramatically on the world stage. I mean, if you want to understand why countries will not, for example, if you ask them to choose even between China and Europe, in 1980, the combined GNP of the European Union economies was 8 times bigger than China. Now, Europe and China are about the same size. By 2050, Europe's combined GNP will be half the size of China. So, clearly, everybody's got to adjust to a rising China. And I think if Taiwan's got to understand, that doesn't mean, by the way, I'm going to emphasize this, that Taiwan has to kowtow to China or Taiwan has to sacrifice itself. No. But Taiwan's got to be geopolitically extremely shrewd and cunning in managing a difficult geopolitical environment. And any kind of political naivete is very dangerous for the people of Taiwan. You must understand the real state of the world as it is, and not as a state, not the kind of, you cannot afford to have wishful thinking in geopolitics. And by the way, if just as an aside, let me mention, you asked about what Asia's geopolitical future also here. Most people in Taiwan are not aware that one key reason why there has been no major war in East Asia for 45 years is because there's an organization called ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, that has done a remarkable job of being able to convene all the great powers to come and attend ASEAN meetings every year And then ASEAN provides the opportunity for everyone to talk to each other. And this is an incredible contribution by ASEAN to the peace of Asia. And the sad part is, most people in Taiwan don't even know this. But this is your geopolitical environment. You must understand what are the forces that can lead to a war.
We are excluded. We are not in RCEP. We are not in CPTPP.
Yeah. But I think this is where you got to understand the forces that are at play.
Following on that, very interesting. You mentioned Southeast Asia, ASEAN, and I myself, in particular, the organizer of the event, set up a organization called SIA, Southeast Asia Impact Alliance. And a lot of things not only happened in cross-strait in Taiwan lately, but also more so in Southeast Asia, in particular Philippines, South China Sea. So there are people seeing now that what's happening in South China Sea probably is even more dangerous than Taiwan. Do you want to comment on that? People say maybe some war or whatever confrontation going out there, and then and also we are in the conjunction of U.S. election, and then it's the things out of control, and the U.S. is too busy on its domestic election, cannot control it, and Taiwan may be in danger. Well, what's your view?
Well, I would say that the South China Sea, there are some potential problems. There have been skirmishes. You've seen the skirmishes between China and the Philippines. Although I want to add a very important point here. Neither China nor the Philippines has fired a gun, which is very significant, This is something you must notice. The weapons that are being given, you showed us the pictures of Ukraine. You showed us the picture of Gaza. How would they look if they use water cannons instead of real cannons, right? So the reason I emphasize that dimension is that the Asians know how to exercise restraint, and they exercise restraint in that area. So South China Sea, there are challenges, but again, remember that we've had these challenges for several decades now. And China has had difficulties in Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Philippines, and until recently, there were no incidents. But I can tell you that in the back room, there is a lot of diplomacy going on. A lot of diplomacy. And the most distressing statistic that was given by Suu Kyi is that you used to have 20 channels of communication with China, and now you have 0. That is incredibly dangerous, because you must always establish your channels of communication before a crisis. Don't wait for the crisis to come and set it up. And by contrast, so you understand the difference, among the ASEAN countries, and ASEAN is the most diverse region of planet Earth, we have over 1,000 meetings a year. Over 1,000. Can you imagine every day the face-to-face contact and the trust and confidence in each other that is built up by these constant meetings? So when you go from 20 meetings to having 0, you are creating a very dangerous, vulnerable point. And that's why ASEAN, in many ways, teaches the rest of the world how to do things.
朋友都知道我是很挑剔的，防晒乳我选 KISS 皇家呵护抗光清爽高防晒凝露，因为它有媲美蓝光神盾的抓藻植萃，保护我在阳光下延缓肌肤老化，维持青春弹力，可以防御工作环境里的3C 商品，各种光源对肌肤的伤害，擦起来清爽不黏腻。我特别喜欢它做到海洋友善，365天，天天抗光抗老化，是我的保养日常。你呢？呵护您，呵护全家人，专属你的 KISS Royal Care 抗光清爽高防晒凝露。